Hopin is an amazing platform that allows you to experience a conference-like environment through an online platform, and we've been using it for quite a while now, having several events. And in this episode I'm going to show you how you can register and start to use Hopin as a delegate, including all the changes that have happened for 2021, and we're even going to have a look at the Hopin app briefly, as well as what you need to know to register for our GP5T event. Let's tech enhance your primary care and learning. If this is the first time we're meeting, I'm Dr. Gandalf of eGP Learning, where I look at supporting you with technology-enhanced primary care and learning. And in this episode, I'm going to share with you everything you need to know about registering and using Hopin to join an online event. We at eGP Learning have been using Hopin to provide that conference kind of feel for our online events, and we found it really useful, particularly given all the features that it has. So right now I'm going to share with you everything you need to know to register for a Hopin event, what you need to know before you start and join on the day itself, and also how you can get the best experience when you're participating in an Hopin event, including the new Hopin app. To register for a Hopin event, simply use the link that you've been given to go to the Hopin platform, and it'll ask you for simple details like your name, your email address and that kind of stuff. When you have registered, if you can't see the email straight away, do check things like your junk folders and that kind of stuff, just to make sure that you've got the right email and that you can get into the event easily and effectively. It is worth whitelisting the emails you get from Hopin to make sure you get all the content and information from your organisers. Particularly, for example, for our events, we include our delegates in our WhatsApp support group so that to make sure they've got an additional way of helping them on board in case there's problems using Hopin, for example. And you want to make sure you're getting that email content easily and effectively. So whitelisting those emails will make your life a lot easier. If you're not sure how to do that, check out the links down below, where there'll be links to show you how you can whitelist emails in your provider. Once you've done that, the first thing you need to do is create your Hopin profile. Think of this as your bio for when you use things like social media platforms like Twitter or Facebook. And the reason why this is important, in particular for the networking part of the conference, to be able to engage with other people a lot more effectively, it's just nice to have some of that information. Shall we see what this looks like? So this should be what it looks like when you join a Hopin event. A quick little tip is to make sure that you use the add to calendar function for each individual event that you're joining to make sure that this gets imported into the calendar that you use. It'll also take across the link for you to join the event at that time and make your life a little bit easier. I do tend to recommend people then bring that forward just a few minutes so that you get that notification earlier on so you can get ready in time for the event. In particular, have a look at the create profile part, and once you click on that, it brings up the options for you to update your profile. This can be where you put simple information like an avatar or picture of yourself, your Twitter or LinkedIn usernames, as well as a little bit of your own bio. I would normally recommend just putting a quick tagline, something like the work that you do, why you're at the conference, that kind of stuff. And this is useful for the networking section that we're going to see later on. So do spend a minute or so just considering this and filling it in. It will make your life a lot easier for later on in the conferences and things. Once you've done that, to be honest, it's just waiting for the day of the event itself. However, there are some things you need to be aware of for the day itself and how to join effectively. So we're going to cover that right now. On the day of the event, there's a couple of things you do need to know to make sure you get the best experience possible. Firstly, like most online events, make sure you've got the space and the time to dedicate to it so that you can enjoy the event as much as possible. If you do have to do other things where you have to dip in and dip out, don't worry, most conference providers will be able to give you access to the recordings, like for example what we will be doing for our GP5T conference. Also, make sure whatever device you're going to be using is fully charged and you've got access to additional power if you need to, particularly if you're going to be using things like laptops or iPads, for example. And I would highly recommend using a pair of headphones as well to make that listening experience so much more effective for you. This is an online event, so it's really important you've got a good data connection. Tend to recommend that you use a wired connection, but if you are going to use Wi-Fi, make sure you've got good download and upload speeds. If you're joining as a delegate, ideally you need a download speed of 5 megabytes per second and an upload speed of 2 megabytes per second. But what is recommended and what should be ideal if you're joining as a speaker is to have 10 megabytes for download and 5 megabytes for upload. If you're not sure how to do that, check out some of the links in the show notes below, which will give you links to how you can test your Wi-Fi connection. Additionally, if you're using a device like a laptop or a desktop, please try and use the Google Chrome browser because this will give you a much better viewing experience. Browsers like Internet Explorer and Safari can sometimes be a little bit buggy with the Hopin software and can mean you have a less enjoyable experience, particularly from the audio perspective. Additionally, when you're using Google Chrome, try and use an incognito browser because this just takes away any of the plugins and stuff that may interfere with the way that Hopin will work. What you hope to get out of joining the event is going to be individual to yourself and the type of event that you're having, but particularly for educational based events, it's worth having a couple of additional things as well. So ideally, something to write down information with, or if you're going to be using another tab on your browser like Google Drive and stuff, have that ready. Also, nice to have a couple of snacks and a drink because that's the beauty of online conferences. You can eat and drink whenever you choose to. So we've got everything ready and now it's time for the actual event. Make sure you click to join and it should let you straight into the reception area. Let's take a look at what that looks like from our GP5T event so you can see what I would see. So this is what a Hopin event looks like through a browser experience through my laptop. It's important to note a couple of key areas. So for example, the first place you join into is the reception area. So this is like when you join a normal conference, kind of when you go in and your options of where you want to go from there. Key things to note along the side are the various tabs that you can enter into. So at the top we've got the reception area. Underneath that we've got the stage area, and this is kind of like your main conference auditorium where most of your top level speakers, your keynotes, all that kind of thing will be taking place. Underneath that you have the sessions area. So think of this like your workshops or smaller rooms that you may have. However, they can normally accommodate up to about 100 people. Beneath that is the networking area, and this is a really cool experience for you to engage with other members at the conference itself. And then finally you've got the expo area. So think of this as your sponsors kind of area where you can engage with those people that may be sponsoring the event. In the main reception area you'll see the key information about the conference itself as well as information about what you need to know for the event. Underneath that you will have any sponsor information, particularly the gold, silver and bronze level sponsors. For our particular GP5T event there aren't actually any sponsors, so the ones that you can see here are just for demonstration purposes. Underneath that is the schedule area. So this is effectively the agenda for the conference itself, where you can see the various different events and where in particular they'll be taking place, so whether they're on the stage, in a session or in the expo areas for example, as well as the times themselves for those events. As you can see there is a little calendar icon next to each kind of time frame. You can use that to help remind you for when those events are actually starting for the ones that you're interested in. On the right hand side you can then also see the chat and engagement area. So this is split into various different sections, and from the reception area you'll see the chat for the event itself. So this is where often the organisers will give you information about what's starting next, what kind of stuff to engage with. It's important to note that each section will have its own chat area. So you've got one for the event, which is normally the reception and that anyone can see from. You'll then have individual chat areas for things like the stage, for the sessions and for the expos area. Each section will also have a poll function that you can engage with. So for example, if the event organisers or speakers want to ask you a question, you can engage with it through that. The people section shows you the people that have registered for the event from the reception area, but if you go through to the different sections, for example in the stage and the sessions, then you can engage with the people that are just in that particular section as well. And a new functionality is the Q&A section. So this is what you would use to actually ask your questions to the event organisers, but particularly when you're in the stage or the session areas, use that functionality to ask the questions to the event organisers or to your speakers, so then they know how to answer your queries. For some events, you may even see a Twitter section which will allow you to follow the tweet of a particular channel or profile that may be happening at the same time. So now we're going to have a quick look at the stage section. As you can see at the moment, the stage is not open. This is because the event is not live at this point, but if it was, you'd be able to see whatever's happening on the stage. Key thing to note is that whatever happens on the stage, you may see a slight delay just because of the technology that they use to transfer that information across. And as you can see, we've now got two separate tabs on the engagement area, one for the event itself and one for the stage. This will allow you to see the different chats in the different areas, for example, as well as polls and Q&A functions. Now, a quick tip for viewing either the stage or sessions is that when you join them, you sometimes get an option of having a split screen, so 50-50. What you can do is if you hover over the middle of the screen, it'll give you the option to change it to more like a presenter style view, so you can see the screen share and the presentation is a lot bigger and the speaker becomes a little bit smaller. I know some people prefer having it in that view, and that's an active change that you will need to make when you're watching it through a browser, like on your desktop or laptop. If the stage area is actually shut, you may see information like this, or sometimes you may see promotional information that you may want to engage with, like banners or video reels and that kind of thing. Let's take a look at the sessions area now. As I said earlier, think of the sessions area as your workshops or your smaller function rooms that would normally happen at a conference. The real benefit of this platform is that you can have as many sessions as you want, and you can jump across from session to session. You don't need to be allocated necessarily, although there is the functionality to allow this to happen depending on your actual event organisation. There are generally two types of sessions, so you'll have moderated and open sessions, and in some events you may even be able to create your own session as well. The key difference between the two is that the moderated ones will only be active once the moderator, typically the speaker or the organisers, have actually joined the session room. Don't worry if you can't see particular session rooms that you may want to join as well. A lot of these may be linked with the schedule and will only come up a few minutes before the actual scheduled time of that session. For demonstration purposes though, we've got a couple here, including the coffee room that we will have for our GP5T event, that anyone can jump into and just have a chat with other people at the same time. Once you join in, it basically comes across as like a Zoom kind of meeting. The event will ask you to authorize your audio and video for you to use, and then you get the option of simply watching what happens in the session room. If you want to join in with the discussion on screen, then there's a little button in the top right hand corner that allows you to do that, and then you'll ask permission if it's a moderated room, or if it's just an open one, you'll be able to jump in and have a chat. There may be a limit of the number of people that can be on screen, and this is particularly the case if the session is being recorded. As you can see again on the right hand side, we've got that session chat area individual to this room. Next up, let's take a look at the networking section. One of the really cool things about Hopin is its ability to network with other people at the conference. Think of it like speed dating. When you're ready to join, just simply click ready and the system will automatically match you with other people at the event that are also in the networking tab. It will ask for permission for you to use your audio and your video, but once it's started and matched you up, you then have a set time frame to engage with that person, typically set at a default of 3 minutes, maybe longer, maybe shorter, and you get the opportunity to chat and basically get to know each other. If this is somebody that you want to continue having a discussion with afterwards, you can either ask for an extension of time or you can connect with them by clicking the buttons on the top right hand corner. Finally, let's have a look at the expo area. Now for our GP5T event, unfortunately we don't actually have any sponsors, but for demonstration purposes I put the EGP Learning sponsor booth there for you. This gives you simple information about the different types of sponsors that may be participating in the event, and you will normally have one of two experiences when you click on a sponsor. Like we have here, when we join our sponsor, this is an automated one that allows you to watch a video that they have already set for you to engage with, and then you can engage with the information on the right hand side, like for example any offers they may have, or connect with the sponsor if you want to share your information with them, just like you may do at a conference. Alternately, some sponsors that are actually manning the booth may be there, and that will give you the opportunity for you to talk to them, to engage with them, just like you would have done, for example, in the networking area or within a session, for example. This is a really interesting feature of a Hopin platform that we've actually found really useful for some of our previous events as well, where we have had sponsors. And that is our brief tour of the Hopin environment. Sometimes people do have occasional issues with, for example, with the audio or with the feeds that you may have. A good way of fixing that is simply pressing either F5 or Shift F5 to refresh the screen, and then that normally fixes most of the audio issues. Additionally, don't have multiple tabs of Hopin open. Just like most streaming platforms, if you do that, it can cause reverberation or echo within your audio, and worst case, feedback, which we definitely do not want. Alternatively, you may want to engage with Hopin through its app experience. This is a new feature that's just started, and I will point out, although it's really enjoyable, it is a much lighter experience compared to what you may get from a desktop or browser-based interface. So personally, I would still recommend engaging with an event through the browser. However, particularly if you are mobile and not able to be connected through a particular device like that, then using the app is really effective. If you'd like more information and a demonstration of how to use the Hopin app, check out this video coming up right here that shows you exactly how to register and use the app itself. Alternatively, YouTube's probably recommend another video for you right here that you may want to have a look at.